Well, this is ridiculous. I look like a combination of a Ken and Barbie, maybe. Okay, that's less jarring. I'm not trying to pretend that I'm 20. Boy, I sure picked a weird time to exit social media for a couple months. Certainly did. It had nothing to do with the election or anything going on any of the platforms. Blah, 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 fucking blah. I was just losing so much of my own energy, and um, I ridiculously thought that replacing the windows in my house was not going to be a major remodel. And then I'd have absolutely no time, no difficulty as someone with an autoimmune thing to, in the middle of winter, rehang all the curtains, which had to get new ones and new hardware for a lot of things. That was no foresight on that either. Still glad I got the windows. Grateful I have them. Grateful I have a house. Try to remember that for the next 2 or 3 years at least. To think about all the things you have to be grateful for, have compassion and empathy for what other people are going through, but do not drown yourself in survivor's guilt either, because your misery or guilt does not relieve someone else's suffering. You have the opportunity to be a stable person in the world, able to jump in and help where you can to help other people. Um, so I am on all the other socials as Grooving Goddess. I have mostly been posting in my Patreon. I'm doing my best to get my energy back so that I can even record my podcast. Uh, it's hard to explain, but other people have been experiencing it too. And I think part of what's happening is the overall energetic transformation that the human collective is going through is aggravating our existing physical conditions, whatever they may be. So it kind of doesn't matter whether it's your ADHD or your Ehlers-Danlos lupus Sjogren's. Yep, hat trick, always have to overachieve. So keeping yourself in a state of gratitude is going to help you be stronger, to help those who are going to need our love, care, and empathy. I'm pretty sure, like, if they ban this completely for however long, because I'm fairly certain that Trump's ego will push him to reverse it. But um, I'm on all the other things, including the meta apps, because I'm from the Gen X punk generation, and have a lot of personal experience with refusing to leave places that don't want me in them. Uh, and I also feel there's a reason for those of us who are willing to have a big mouth to stay and be a defense. It doesn't help if everybody who believes in human rights bails, especially on an app that has 3 billion users. And I mean, that's almost half the world population. Granted, at least 25-30% of those are probably bot, fake, scammer, various non accounts. So, Patreon at Grooving Goddess is where it's at. It's free. I do the updates on solar weather, Schumann resonance, how all of this affects you physically and metaphysically. Um, I'm going to try to put some stuff up here over the next day and a half, sort of to front load that in case this does go away in America. I believe the way they're meeting out the law, uh, it makes it so that the companies that host the VPNs can't do it either somehow. So I'm not sure if there is a backdoor or a way around it, but I'm sure going to look for one. And I know a lot of other people are as well. Uh, so I go into any new app. So, for instance, Blue Sky, I may not be on there, but I go in there and get my name in there. So, you can always find me there. You can find me on YouTube. Most of my YouTube stuff is unlisted because it's for the Patreon. And uh, as I said, it's free. It's not about having a paywall per se, it's just about not having just everything out there for the Gen Pop, because that's not my role in all of this. Um, so I am heartbroken for all of the things that have been going on. I was aware that this was going to be the sort of chaos that we were going to be experiencing. And I will tell you right now, if you learn nothing from the first 2 weeks of this year, I want you to listen about being as prepared as possible and as financially stable as possible. Not telling you to constrict, because that's never good for abundance either. Just make careful decisions and save money where you can. Um, Being prepared for not having power, having to evacuate, all of those things will give you an edge in the coming years, because these climate events are only going to get more intense, more widespread, and it's going to be a while before there's any adaptation. Speaking of adaptation, guess who right now is one of the countries at the forefront of and um, climate adaptation and environmental technology? China. They have been working on projects for 20 years, some of them, to uh, mitigate the effects of climate change in such a way that I think that's a big part of the reason for this whole TikTok bullshit as well. They do not want us to see what is happening in China. They want us to see them as the enemy, because otherwise we might demand more. We might demand unlimited free energy. We might demand clean water. We might demand a better standard of living. So that's where we're at. I'm over there in my little Patreon hole doing my thing, because that's how I have to do it right now in order to rebuild and restore my body at the moment. My biosuit just needed a timeout. And so I eliminated anything that wasn't essential. And so for me, doing this and then putting it everywhere is work I do not have the energy for. And so that's part of the reason I just haven't been anywhere. And I'll be honest with you, didn't miss it a damn bit. I mean, I would think of different people that I know on here, but as far as like the scrolling and the blah 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 on anything, did not miss it a bit. It was a beautiful time of silence and introspection and actual meaningful connection with other people, because I had to intentionally direct message people and stay in touch with them that way. And it really shifted my perspective at apparently just the right time. So if you're looking for me, you can find me at Grooving Goddess just about everywhere. YouTube is probably the easiest way to follow the breadcrumb trail, or just go to Patreon and sign up, because I do get foreknowledge of these events. I don't always know where they're going to be, and this is why I'm encouraging being prepared.